Some time ago, a leader emerged on the political scene, and he had a knack for drawing crowds. Through persuasive rhetoric and shrewd political maneuvers, he rose to prominence, eventually becoming the leader of a great nation. With boldness and with ambition, he won over masses with promises of greatness and prosperity. But not everyone bought it. Some saw it as a ploy for attention, a grab for power, which he would use to advance his own aims. The strange thing was that the very traits that united people around him, his unbridled ambition and his disregard for customs, those were the same things that would deepen the rifts in the nation. Today's key character in the gospel possesses the same characteristic. His candor and forthrightness won him influential attention. He surprised people because he had chutzpah. You can hear in this gospel, he was a smooth talker. If you choose, he told Jesus. Outspokenness brought him success, and it inspired him to keep going. Opening his mouth didn't get him into trouble. It did just the opposite, and he kept drawing crowds with it. Word spread fast, and he wasn't bothered by the consequences. Other people weren't bothered by the consequences either. After all, this man's outspokenness led to the healing of many. Information about a miraculous healer was something folk wanted to hear about. This man's big mouth, it would make many people's lives better. People long to have secrets uncovered. We admire those who expose them and say maybe what others are too scared to say. It's one of the reasons for shock jock radio DJs and for politically incorrect political commentators. What they say, well, it doesn't concern them if it bothers anyone else. They say it without fear of reprisal or harming anybody else. Those who share strong opinions are seen as champions of free speech. They're provocateurs. And these kinds of people, well, they have an appeal, especially in times when individuals feel their freedom or autonomy is threatened. Folk don't like to be told what to do or think or say. And just to be clear, I'm not talking about some other group of people, some unenlightened, easy-to-fleece group of people lured by others' charms. Most of us, including me, admire bold speakers, people who make us feel seen and acknowledged. I root for the truth teller. I celebrate when others are bold enough to share what's happened to them and what they've discovered. I'm happy. I'm happy to hear how my life could be better. So maybe I sympathize with the man cured of leprosy. Yes, he wasn't very considerate. No, he didn't do as Jesus asked. Perhaps he should have respected Jesus' wishes for anonymity. But I can hear myself thinking, how terrible was his indiscretion? Really? Indeed, I think this is a question we often ask ourselves when we come into contact with outspoken people who are sympathetic to our causes. Their frankness and honesty feel refreshing. They upset an apple cart that probably needs some upsetting. So we're willing to forgive a misstep. We can overlook uncouthness. Because, well, the means justify, or they're justified in the end. And here these words get caught in my throat. I know, you know, how this turns out. It's happened before. Like the leader I was talking about earlier, you know his name. Of course you do. Julius Caesar. People like him. For people like him, integrity isn't expedient. It's irrelevant. But in the end, what are we without it? If undermining someone's honor, disregarding privacy, or breaching trust, are just part of playing the game, heavens, what kind of game are we playing? The foundations of our relationships, communities, and ultimately our own sense of self rely on how we respect others. This year offers several opportunities for us to decide how much will be led by those mouths who are always running, whose words are constantly being reported. Their speech will capture our attention. It may be their boundary pushing will excite us. But behind their voices lie other voices. Voices that have not been heard. Requests that have not been honored. And despite what some unruly fellow might tell us, the voices of those whose pleas are ignored are worth paying attention